कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यादि पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलौकिक द्विपद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वान्तोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्रीकृष्णाय नमस्तुमे मदे मत्संगीन मद्गुरो मन्महाधन महंस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्तुते असाधु साधुतादायिन अतनी चौत्शताकर आनमुंश कदाचिन्माम प्रेमणा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, where did we stop? We're supposed to continue from 3.5.44.
44 commentaries.
But 44 is which 44? I remember I read this.
45 Bhakti-vaibhava purport. I mean commentaries. The Prabhupada one's 45.
So 45. Let me read this verse and translation and then get to the commentaries. तान् वैह्य सद्वृत्तिभिरक्षिभिर्ये पराहृतांतर मनसः परेश अथो न पश्यत्युर्गाय नूनं ये ते पदन्यास विलासलक्ष्याः. O great Supreme Lord, offensive persons whose internal vision has been too affected by external materialistic activities cannot see your lotus feet, but those feet are seen by your pure devotees, whose one and only aim is to transcendently enjoy your activities. Nanu, yadi hृदि सस्य अपि पदाब्जं केषां चित् सुदूरं तर्हि नियेषामपि तथैव स्याद विशेषात् इति आशंक्याहुः. Objection. Anticipated objection. If your lotus feet, even though it is situated in your heart, is experienced by some as being very far, then that could also be the scenario for others. So this is in response to that. Asadvrittibhir bahirmukhai akshibhihi indriyahi parakritam duram apahritam antastham mano yeshamte. This is about those whose internal sense organ, the mind, has been distracted by, who's been defeated or distracted by the senses that are averse to the Supreme Law because of being attracted to bad things. Atho, ateva, tenunam, tanna pashyanti. Therefore, they do not see you. Vai prasiddham, this is well known. Kutah punas tesham tat sangasyat. Kan te tava पदन्यासः गमनं तस्य विलासो विभ्रम तस्य लक्ष्मी शोभा. He is taking as Lakshmiya, not as Lakshya. तस्या ये लीला कथादि शोभमाना तद्भक्तानित्य. Then how is it possible for them to associate with them meaning those devotees of yours who are shining with discussion of topics of your pastimes and so on. So they are splendorous with with discussions about the topics of the pastimes executed by the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. अथ इति लक्ष्या इति च पाठे त्वत्पदन्यास विलासो लक्ष्यो येषां तान्. And this is their goal. Their goal is to become absorbed in these pastimes. अतः त्वन् मार्गभूतान् सतः मार्गान् वा श्रवणादीन् न पश्यन्ति इति अर्थः. यद्वा ये एवं भूता भागवताः ते तान् उन्मत्तान् नूनं नैव पश्यन्ति इति अन्वयः. So those whose minds are distracted by their senses, senses that are averse to you, those persons, they do not see these devotees. The Bhagavata devotees, they also do not see these mad people. Satsanga abhavena harikatha shravana abhavad hridisthitam tesham suduramiti bhava. The implication is, because they are not submissively associating with saintly authorities, because they are not hearing harikatha, even though Lord Hari is situated in their hearts, he is actually very far away. Kamasandarbha. Tesham yeshu swapunsam kripa syat, teshamev tat smaranavishayah syat, satya kripa na sarvatra syat, tadevam yadatra na upalabhyate satsangah, tatrapya adhunika praktano va parampariko va anumeyeva. So, the mercy that the Supreme Lord has on his people is the cause for them remembering him. Only they can remember him. And that mercy is not, will not fall everywhere. If we do not notice such satsanga, and still that mercy seems to be there, then it should be understood to be that mercy is coming through parampara from an ancient time or in recent times. Tatra kritashri naradadi darshanaderapi devatadehe shri nalakubharadivat तादृशत्व प्राप्तिर्न न श्रूयते इत्यत एवं विवेचनीय. We do not hear about satsanga like with Sri Nalakubara, Manigriva, they who were celestial beings, even though they had darshan of Sri Narada Muni and so on. Yadyapi aparadha sadbhava vartate purushe तदा तद्दोषेण सत्सु आदराणां साधारणमुन्यादि दृष्टीनां च तद्दोष शान्त्यर्थं सत्सङ्गस्य भगवत् सामुख्य कारणत्वे तत्कृपा साहाय्यम् अपेक्ष्यते. Even though that person actually has committed an offense to the Supreme Lord, he has committed an offense, then because of that defect, there is the requirement for the assistance of the Supreme Lord's mercy, which is a cause for bringing about direct association with the Supreme Lord through satsanga, in order to get rid of that offense. For such people who do not have respect for saintly authorities by considering them to be ordinary munis, nir aparadhatve sati satsangena eva jata paramottama drishtinam tu tesham teshu manaha an avadhana abhave api satsanga matram tat karanam iti. But if one were to be inoffensive, then by the influence of that very satsanga, they attain the vision to see that the great souls, the first class devotees, are in fact the first class devotees. So even if their minds are distracted, still that very satsanga itself would be the cause of their spiritual progress. Atah sa aparadhaneva adhikritya uttam taniti. This verse is specifically about those who have committed such offenses. ते तव पदन्यास विलास लक्ष्म्या संबंधिना ये भक्ता इत्यत्र ते तान् नूनं प्रायः न पश्यन्ति न कृपादृष्टि विषयीकुर्वन्ति इत्यर्थः. Such devotees don't look at them, which means they do not cast their merciful glances upon them. Kan, upon whom ye asadvrittibhi saparada cheshtaihi akshubhihi indriyaihi पराक्रांतांतर मनसः दूरीकृतांतर अंतर्मुख चित्तवृत्तयः बहिर्मुख इत्येवं व्याख्यानमपि अत्र अनुसन्धेयम्. Because of offenses, their minds have been distracted by the senses, which have gone very far away. अत्र साधारण असद् वृत्तित्वं न गृह्यते. सर्वस्य कृपाया प्राक् तथा भूतत्वात् जनस्य कृष्णाद् विमुखस्य दैवात् इत्यादिकविषयं स्यात् इति. तस्मात् अन्नपराधसद्वृत्तौ तेषां कृपा प्रवर्तते एव. This is specifically talking about those who are not offensive. Towards them, the mercy of these great souls certainly falls. Those who are offensive have already been dealt with in 3.5.3. कथंचित् अपराध भावेन तत् अप्रवृत्तावपि सत्संगमात्रेण एव तेषां सन्मति स्यात्. Somehow or other, if there is no offensive attitude, then even if they do not engage in spiritual activity, by the association, they will get a spiritual attitude, a proper attitude. यत्र तु स अपराधे अपि स्वैरत्तया एव कृपां कुर्वन्ति तस्यैव तन्मति स्यात् न अन्यस्य नलकूबराधिपत् साधारणा देवतावच्च इति. Sometimes, even if the person is offensive, the great devotees bestow mercy. Then such a person will certainly become his mind will become focused on the Supreme Lord, not others. This is unlike the situation with Nalakubara and Manigriva. Yatra tu, okay, God, repeat it. ननु जगत्यस्मिन् इतः ततः चरतां साधूनां बहुत्वात् तेषां संगं कृत्वा तत्प्रसादसुलभतां सिद्धां भक्तिं ते कथं न कुर्वन्ति. In this world, the saintly authorities wander about here and there, and there are many. So by submissively associating with them, why can't they just execute? Why can't these people just execute Shuddha Bhakti, which very easily comes about by their mercy? Anticipating this verse is spoken. Asadvrittibhi bahirmukhaihi indriyaihi parakritam duram apakritam antastam mano yesham te atho ateva tan vai nishchitam na pashyanti utah tesham tatsangah tan kan te tava पदन्यासो गमनं तस्य विलासो विभ्रमः तस्य लक्ष्मीः सम्पत्तिः तस्या सम्बन्धिनः ये तान् लीलाकथा विलासस्मरणकीर्तनादिभिः पूर्णा परमकृतार्थांस्तु अभक्तान् न त्वभक्तान् त्वद्भक्तान् त्वद्भक्तान् इति अर्थः. तथैति लक्ष्म्या इति पाठे. There's a mistake in this title. Yeah. This is repeated in the song. Okay, let's get back to this. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 18.61, the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. It is natural that one should be able to see the Lord at least within himself. But that is not possible for those whose internal vision has been covered by external activities. The pure soul, which is symptomized by consciousness, can be easily perceived even by a common man because consciousness is spread all over the body. The yoga system, as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita, is to concentrate the mental activities internally and thus see the lotus feet of the Lord within oneself. But there are many so-called yogis who have no concern with the Lord, but are only concerned with consciousness, which they accept as the final realization. Such realization of consciousness is taught by the Bhagavad Gita within only a few minutes, whereas the so-called yogis take continuous years to realize it because of their offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. The greatest offense is to deny the existence of the Lord as separate from the individual souls or to accept the Lord and the individual soul as one and the same. The impersonalists misinterpret the theory of reflection, thus they wrongly accept the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. The theory of the reflection of the supreme can be clearly understood without difficulty by any sincere common man. When there is a reflection of the sky on the water, both the sky and the stars are seen within the water, but it is understood that the sky and the stars are not to be accepted on the same level. The stars are parts of the sky and therefore they cannot be equal to the whole. The sky is the whole and the stars are parts. They cannot be one and the same. Transcendentalists who do not accept the supreme consciousness as separate from the individual consciousness are as offensive as the materialists who deny even the existence of the Lord. Such offenders cannot actually see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves, nor are they even able to see the devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord are so kind that they roam to all places to enlighten people in God consciousness. The offenders, however, lose the chance to receive the Lord's devotees, although the offenseless common man is at once influenced by the devotee's presence. In this connection, there's an interesting story of a hunter and devotee Narada. A hunter in the forest, although a great sinner, was not an intentional offender. He was at once influenced by the presence of Narada and he agreed to take to the path of devotion, leaving aside his hearth and home. But the offenders, Nalakura and Manigreva, even though living amongst the demigods, had to undergo the punishment of becoming trees in their next lives. Although by the grace of a devotee, they were later delivered by the Lord. Offenders have to wait until they receive the mercy of the devotees and then they can become eligible to see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves. But due to their offenses and their extreme materialism, they cannot see even the devotees of the Lord. Engaged in external activities, they kill the internal vision. The Lord's devotees, however, do not mind the offenses of the foolish in their many gross and subtle bodily endeavors. The Lord's devotees continue to bestow the blessings of devotion upon all such offenders without hesitation. That is the nature of devotees. 46. There is some question here. What is that? Devotees also engage in external activities like those who are working in some industries. So, Prabhupada, what he wanted to point out, what is this? External activities like those working in some industries. That is that. Why does Prabhupada talk about industries here? What does he talk about that? No, he's not talking about that. Not talking about that at all. A hunter in the forest, although a great sinner, was not an intentional offender. How this hunter was not is not an offender. He did not offend Narada Muni. No? He was he submitted to Narada Muni. He accepted the authority of Narada Muni. So therefore, it is said he is not committing an offense. 46. पानेन ते देव कथासुधायाः प्रवृद्धभक्त्या विशदाशया ये वैराग्यसारं प्रतिलभ्य बोधं यथान्यसान्वीरकुण्ठधिष्ण्यम्. O Lord, persons who, because of their serious attitude, attain the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieve the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge, and attain the Vaikuntha Loka in the spiritual sky, simply by drinking the nectar of your topics. Etadeva sthayanti. They now clarify this in two verses beginning with the current verse. Vairagyam sarha balam yasya podhasya tam labdhva. They attain realization which has vairagya, renunciation and detachment as its strength. And we apnuyuhu akunta dishnam vaikuntha lokam. Tat kathayaam satyam tu paramaphala praptim krama ahuhu. So when they do get an opportunity to hear Harikatha, then they attain the supreme result, which is now set out in steps. Panena iti. Vishata ashaya, prujyata kaitava, sevaika purushartha, akunta dishna vaikunta logam iti. Here, Vishata ashaya, with a greatly serious attitude. Because of their serious attitude, or the greatly serious attitude, indicates that they have given up all kinds of cheating religiosities. In other words, their goal itself is to serve the Supreme Lord only. Bhaktaha yatha sadhana dasham arabhya eva parma sukhinah तथा ज्ञानिनः साधनदशाम् आरभ्य एव परमदुःखिनः इति भक्तिज्ञानयोः एतावदेव अन्तरम् इत्याहुः द्वाभ्याम्. Just as devotees from the beginning of their sadhana they're supremely happy. Similarly, the jnanis from the beginning of their sadhana are greatly unhappy. This distinction between bhakti and jnana is now pointed out in two verses. Panena iti. Visheshasya saraha brahma sayajya upri api balam यस्मात् साहूतं बोधं प्रवृद्ध भक्ति हम भगवान माधुर्य अनुभवं प्राप्य कुंड दिशना वैकुंठ लोक इति स्वामी चला. They attain where is that? He says vairagya saram, but I think that he has a different reading. What is his reading? Okay, 1 minute, wait. Let me just bring. I have an edition with multiple readings. षष्ठ 45. Here also it says vairagya saram. I have only vairagya saram, but wait. Yatha yasanvi yorapni condition. विशेषस्य सारः. वैराग्यस्य सारः विशेषस्य सारः वैराग्यस्य सारः ब्रह्मसायुज्यः उपरि अपि बलम् तस्मात् तथा भूतं बोधम् ब्रह्मसायुज्य उपरि अपि बलम् यस्मात् तथा भूतं बोधम्. So they attain that kind of realization, which is here Sara means strength. The strength of Vairagya, which is superior to even Brahmasayuja. That kind of experience they attain. Pravriddha Bhakti Uttam. And it comes about due to a heightened engagement in devotion service to the Supreme Lord, which is nothing but the experience of the sweetness of Bhagavan. The difference between the impersonalistic mental speculators and the pure devotees of the Lord is that the former pass through a visible understanding of the absolute truth at every stage, whereas the devotees enter into the kingdom of all pleasures even from the beginning of their attempt. The devotee has only to hear about devotional activities which are as simple as anything in ordinary life. And he also acts very simply, whereas the mental speculator has to pass through a jugglery of words, which are partially facts and partially a make-show for the maintenance of an artificial impersonal status. In spite of his strenuous efforts to attain perfect knowledge, the impersonalist attains merging into the impersonal oneness of the Brahmajyoti of the Lord, which is also attained by the enemies of the Lord simply because of their being killed by him. The devotees, however, attain to the highest stage of knowledge and renunciation and achieve the Vaikuntha Lokas, the planets in the spiritual sky. So, Vairagya Saram here indicates that they are even detached from Brahma Sayujya, the planets in the spiritual sky. The impersonalist attains only the sky and does not achieve any tangible transcendental bliss, whereas the devotee attains to the planets where real spiritual life prevails. With a serious attitude, the devotee throws away all other achievements like so much dust and he accepts only devotion service, the transcendental culmination. 57. तथा परे चात्म समाधि योग बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिं बलिष्ठां त्वामेव धीरा पुरुषं विशन्ति तेषां श्रमस्यान् न तु सेवयाते. Others who are pacified by means of transcendental self-realization and have conquered over the modes of nature by dint of strong power and knowledge also enter into you. But for them, there is so much pain. Whereas the devotee simply discharges devotion service and thus feels no such pain. Atman Samadhi Manasthirya Saiva Yoga Upaya Tasyam Balena. This is talking about those who use the strength of the means to steady the mind. Such steadiness of mind is known as Atma Samadhi. Jnana Yogata Shramena Mokshaha Satsangatastotkatha Shravanadinatu Nayasena Eva. Through Jnana Yoga, with great difficulty, they attain liberation, but through Satsanga, by hearing your topics and so on, very easily they attain the same. Aham ममता आविष्टानां तु न कथञ्चित् इति भावः. Implication is, but for those who are absorbed in thoughts of I and mine, there is no way they can attain liberation. ये तु ज्ञानी संगिनः तेषां साधन साध्ययो कनिष्ठत्वमाह. It's pointed out that those who associate with jnanis, they are inferior both in the stage of sadhana and sadhya. अपरे मोक्षमात्र कामाः तन्मात्र पुरुषार्थे अपि तेषां समस्या. Then there are others who only desire liberation. So even though that is a goal in life, to have only that as a goal in life is something. They experience difficulty, labor, extreme exhaustion. ये तो सेवैक पुरुषार्थाः. And then there are those for whom the ultimate achievement is simply to serve, meaning to serve the Lord. तेषां सेवया श्रमः न स्यात्. Through such service, they do not experience any exhaustion. सदा एव सेवा परमानन्दम् अनुभवताम् आनुषङ्गिकतया मोक्षं च स्यात् इति अर्थः. In other words, those who are constantly experiencing the supreme bliss of service to Krishna, incidentally, there will be liberation. Srinath Chakravarti Thakur. Atmani samadhihi manastheyam seva yoga upaya tasyam palena jnana yogata ityartha yad va. Another meaning. Ashtanga yogatah tvam purusham vishanti tvai sayujyam prapnuvanti ityartha. Through Ashtanga yoga, these people enter into you. That means they enter into the Purusha. That means they attain Sayujya in him. Kintu tesham shramasya iti tesham bhaktirahitya sritim bhakti mudasate vibho klishyanti ityade pureh bhuvan baho yogina ityadescha bhakti vina vastavam jnanameva nasya. But it will be difficult for them. But for them there is so much pain. Now, here it should be understood that if they do not engage in Bhagavad Bhakti properly, then according to 10.14.4 and 10.14.5, in reality they do not attain proper, even proper impersonalistic knowledge, understanding, realization. Kutaha muktihi? Where is the question of liberation for them? Te paramadukhina eva. So they are most miserable. Yaduktam, as it has been stated. Tesham asoklesha eva shishyate nanyadhyata stula kushavaghatinam. As it is stated in 10.14.4, it is simply a waste of time. Jnananga bhakti sahitye tu sayujyam prapnuvanti eva. But if they take the assistance of Vishnu bhakti as an element of the process of impersonal knowledge, then they do attain sayujya. Kintu sadhana dashayam chitta aikalya artham upaya anveshana anusthana adishu shramah spashteva. But in the stage of sadhana, it is very clear that they experience exhaustion, difficulties, labor in executing the right procedures while searching for the right means in order to focus their minds and so on. साक्ष्यदशायां त्वद्वशीकारक कारणं प्रेमानं प्राप्नुवद्भिः त्वद्भक्तैः परित्यक्तस्य त्वत्प्रवेशस्य ग्रहणमेव निष्कर्षः स च दुःखमेवेति भक्तानां मते तदपि ते दुःखिन एवेति अर्थः. And in the state of sadhya, the attainment of the goal, then your devotees who attain love for you, which can bring you under control, loving control, because they have completely rejected these impersonalists. These people just enter into you. In the opinion of such devotees, this is nothing but distress. And therefore they are in distress only. Nanu paricharya adibhihi bhaktanam vishramaha anumiyate. But don't we logically conclude that the devotees also, because they're engaging in various menial services and so on, they also experience labor, exhaustion. Tatrahu. Then they say, Natu sevayate, the last 4 words. Whereas the devotee simply discharges devotion service and thus feels no such pain. Atra ta eva anubhavinah pramanam yatha ashraminoho api stri pumsayoho na shrama. न श्रमः यथा यथा श्रमणो अपि स्त्रीपुंसयोः न श्रमः किन्तु श्रम अप्राप्त्यैव श्रमः. Here the evidence of their experience, here the evidence is their own experience, just as the difficulties experienced by a man and woman is not a difficulty. Rather, the lack of attainment of such difficulties is difficulty for them. Tatha, similarly, Tvad Bhaktanam Pratyuta Sevaya Daivad Apraptya Eva Manaha Dukha Rupaha Mahashramasya Bhavanti. So it is implied. Similarly, with your devotees, if somehow by providence they do not attain service to you, then they attain great difficulty in the form of distress in the mind. Atra sevaya tvam vishanti iti nae yojan. Anviyu rakunti dishnamiti purvoktatvena virodha nache kuntam dishnam yasya tam tvam anviyuriti tatrapi vakya visheshanasya apushtarthatva. Anviyuriti anugati, it's not anugati. Anugatyarthaka padanyasasyapi vayatyam. Here one should not interpret natu sevayate to be having tvam vishanti as the goal of the devotees. Through service to you, they enter into you. This is the wrong. This would be a wrong interpretation. Rather, it was already stated previously that they attain Akuntha Dishnya, they attain Vaikuntha Loka. That is their goal, not this. Okay. In terms of a labor of love and its returns, the bhaktas or devotees of the Lord always have priority over persons who are addicted to the association of jnanis or impersonalists and yogis or mystics. The word apare, others, is very significant in this connection. Others refer to the jnanis and yogis whose only hope is to merge into the existence of the impersonal Brahmajyoti, although their destination is not so important in comparison to the destination of the devotees. The labor of the non-devotees is far greater than that of the bhaktas. One may suggest that there is great labor for the devotees also in the matter of discharging devotional service. But that labor is compensated by the enhancement of transcendental pleasure. The devotees derive more transcendental pleasure while engaged continuously in the service of the Lord than when they have no such engagement. In the family combination of a man and a woman, there is much labor and responsibility for both of them. Yet when they are single, they feel more trouble for want of their united activities. The union of the impersonalists and the union of the devotees are not on a par. The impersonalists try to fully stop their individuality by attaining Sayujya Mukti, or unification by merging into oneness, whereas the devotees keep their individuality to exchange feelings in relationship with the Supreme Individual Lord. Such a reciprocation of feelings takes place in the transcendental Vaikuntha planets, and therefore the liberation sought by the impersonalists is already achieved in devotional service. The devotees attain mukti automatically while continuing the transcendental pleasure of maintaining individuality. As explained in the previous verse, the destination of the devotees is Vaikuntha or Akuntha Dishnya, the place where anxieties are completely eradicated. One should not mistake the destination of the devotees and that of the impersonalists to be one and the same. The destinations are distinctly different, and the transcendental pleasure derived by the devotees is also distinct from chinmatra or spiritual feelings alone. Chinmatra means spiritual experience, experience of spirituality, experience of that which is not material. 48. तत्ते वयं लोकसृक्षयाद्यत्वयानुसृष्टास्त्रिभिरात्मभिः स्म सर्वे वियुक्ता स्वविहारतन्त्रं न शक्नुमस्तत् प्रतिहर्तव्येते. O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature. And for this reason, we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we cannot act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. Tadevam stutva prasayante chaturvihi. Having glorified him, now they offer their prayers. They beseech the Lord in 4 verses. Tat, tasma, therefore. We are therefore. Te adya, original person. Te padiya, vayam, yasmat. Lokanam srikshaya, tvayanusrishta, kramena utpaditaha. Tribhir atmabhi sattvaadi svabhave. Ateva viruddha svabhavatvad viyukta santaha. Because we all have specific, distinct natures, we are separated in action. Viyukta santaha. Yadartam shishta tat स्वविहारतंत्रं त्वत् क्रीडा उपकरणं ब्रह्मांडं ते तुभ्यं परिहर्तव्ये परिहर्तुं समर्पयितुं न शक्नुमः. We have been created for assisting you in your sport by bringing about this brahmanda, which will be an accessory for your pastimes. We are unable to offer this to you. अतः त्वं न स्वचक्षु हृदेहि इति त्रयाणां श्लोकानां चतुर्थेनान्वये. So please give us the right direction. Nismadevam sarvesham bhavat ashrayena eva uttamatvam tattasma. So because everybody has taken shelter of you, therefore we are yours only. Tattasmate tavaiva sevakaha vayam sevam aprapya eva klishyama iti bhava. The implication is we belong to you, we are your servants, and not having attained your service, we are in distress. Sevaya apraptim vrinvanti. Now they elaborate on their lack of service. Lokanam sasrikshaya tvaya anusrishta kravena upaditasma. Triviratami satvadi svabhave ataiva viruddha svabhavatvad yatho viyukta santaha. Yadartam sashtyaha tat svabhiharatantam tat pridopakaranam samashtim te tubhyam. This is the totality of all material existence. So it looks like it's not just a single Brahmanda, it is the totality of all Brahmandas. Te tubhyam parihartave parihartam samarvetum shaknamaha. We are unable to offer all of this to you. The cosmic creation is working under the influence of the three modes of the external potency of the Lord. Different creatures are also under the same influence, and therefore they cannot act concertedly in satisfying the Lord. Because of this diverse activity, there cannot be any harmony in the material world. The best policy, therefore, is to act for the sake of the Lord. That will bring about the desired harmony. 49. Yavad balim teja haramakale yatha vayam channam madhama yatra yathobesham ta imehi loka balim haranto nam madantyam anuha. O unborn one, please enlighten us regarding the ways and means by which we can offer you all enjoyable grains and commodities, so that both we and all other living entities in this world can maintain ourselves without disturbance. We can easily accumulate the necessities of life, both for you and for ourselves. सामर्थ्यमेव प्रपञ्चयितुं कार्यस्य अतिवैचित्र्यमाहुः. The distinct duties are now spelled out here. Just to point out that they are unable to engage in these services. Bhoja kale tattadavasare balim bhogam yavat sakalyena tetubhyam harama samarpayama. At the right times, we should be able to offer objects of enjoyment in their entirety to you. यथा येन प्रकारेण अन्नं वदाम भक्षयाम इति अन्नेन अन्नमात्रं च अस्माकम् ऐश्वर्येण तु भोगः तव एव इति उक्तम्. येषां तव च अस्माकं च यत्र स्थित्वा मे जीवा अनुहा अप्रत्युहा निर्विघ्ना यद्वा अनुहा अवितर्का निसंशया इति अर्थः. तत्र निज कर्तव्यसेवारूप आश्रयं निवेदयन्ति यावदिति. Now they talk about taking shelter of their individual service duties. Annam yatkinchit bhagavad-dattam swasva upajivya. Here, anna or food grains refers to whatever is required to maintain themselves. Tarhi kim yushmad vankshitam karmani tad brutha ityahu. Okay, so what do you want? Anticipating that the Lord would ask them a question like that, they offer this prayer. Hey Aja, on Kale Samuchita Samaye, at the right time, Balim Puja Upaharam Yavat Sakalyena Te Harama. At the right time, we do offer you the various items of worship for you. Deva Manushadi Vitha Purasankula Samashti Vyashtiyatmaka Prapancha Prapanchika Twat Krida Upakarana Vrindam Nirmaya Tubhyam Yatha Samarpayama. We wish to create this ingredient for your pastimes in the form of the material world, both considered individually and collectively, which will be filled with various cities and various items as appropriate for devas, manushyas, and so on. Yathacha vayam twan maya shakti vritteha annam madama. We are extensions of your maya shakti. We should be able to provide you food grains. Ragya adishta griha nirmataaraha वर्धक्यः यथा वेतनरूपं स्वस्व उदरपुरम् अन्नं प्राप्नुवन्ति इति अर्थः. Just as the engineers who create houses under the order of the government, they attain foodstuffs to fill up their stomachs in the form of salaries. यथा च इमे लोका देवत्रि आदयः तद्जीवशक्तिवृतयः तदधीनत्वात् तन्मायाशक्ति अधीनत्वाच्च उभयेषां तव च अस्माकं च बलिं हरन्तः यथ याग योग ज्ञानादिरूपम् आराधनं कुर्वन्तः अन्नं वदन्ति स्वस्वकर्मफलं प्राप्नुवन्ति. In such a manner that all of these persons, which refers to the devas, the animals, and so on, they're all extensions of your jiva potency, because they're all under the jiva potency, and they're also under the control of your maya potency. So they engage in, they offer you sacrifices in the form of worshipping you by engaging in various forms of fire sacrifices, yoga practices, culturing knowledge, and so on. of various types. So in that way, they attain their food grains, which means they attain their respective results for their activities. Anuha, vitarka, prabhur, asmabhyam, karmaphalam dasyati, na dasyati va, iti, abhyuha shunya iti. And they have no doubts about it. There's no controversy about this. They do not think, oh, my master, will he give me the result of performing these activities or not? They do not have this doubt. Ityetadeva asmad vakshitam sampadaya iti bhava. So this is what we want. We want you to create the facility by which all of this can happen. This is the implication. Tathacha Shrutihi. And then there's a Shruti statement. Ta enam abhruvannāyatanam nah prajānīhi yasmin pratishthitā annam madāmeti. It's talking about the Shruti itself. That the Tattvika Devas, they had prayed to the Lord, please create residence for ourselves so that we can get foodstuffs. Developed consciousness begins from the human form of life and further increases in the forms of the demigods living on higher planets. The Earth is situated almost in the middle of the universe, and thus the human form of life is situated between the life of the demigods and that of the demons. The planetary systems above the Earth are especially meant for the higher intellectuals called demigods. They are called demigods because although that standard of life is far advanced in culture, enjoyment, luxury, beauty, education, and duration of life, they're always fully God conscious. Such demigods are always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord because they are perfectly aware of the fact that every living entity is constitutionally and eternal subordinate servitor of the Lord. They also know that it is the Lord only who can maintain all living entities with all the necessities of life. The Vedic hymns confirm this truth. Ego bahunam yo vidadhati kaman ta enam abhruvannaya taram nah prajani yasmin pratishthita annam madame, etc. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is mentioned as Bhutabhrit, or the maintainer of all living creatures. The modern theory that starvation is due to an increase in population is not accepted by the demigods or the devotees of the Lord. The devotees or demigods are fully aware that the Lord can maintain any number of living entities provided they are conscious of how to eat. If they want to eat like ordinary animals who have no God consciousness, then they must live in starvation, poverty, and want, like the jungle animals of the forest. The jungle animals are also maintained by the Lord with their respective foodstuffs, but they are not advanced in God consciousness. Similarly, human beings are provided with food grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk by the grace of the Lord, but it is the duty of human beings to acknowledge the mercy of the Lord. As a matter of gratitude, they should feel obliged to the Lord for their supply of foodstuff, and they must first offer him food in sacrifice and then partake of the remnants. In the Bhagavad Gita 3.13, it is confirmed that one who takes foodstuff after a performance of sacrifice eats real food for proper maintenance of the body and soul, but that one who cooks for himself and does not perform any sacrifice eats only lumps of sin in the shape of foodstuffs. Such sinful eating can never make one happy or free from scarcity. Famine is not due to an increase in population as less intelligent economists think, but it is due to the ingratitude of human beings. When human society is grateful to the Lord for all his gifts for the maintenance of the living entities, there is certainly no scarcity or want in society. But when people are unaware of the intrinsic value of such gifts from the Lord, surely they will be in want. A person who has no God consciousness may live in opulence for the time being due to his past virtuous acts. But if he forgets his relationship with the Lord, certainly he must avoid the stage of starvation by the law of the powerful material nature. One cannot escape the vigilance of the powerful material nature unless he leads a God conscious or devotional life. That's the question here. What is that serious attitude? This is a reference to something we saw earlier, the serious attitude with which those who are pure devotees of the Lord, they attain eternal devotional service to the Lord. This serious attitude is dharma prachita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsarama. This is referred to there, 1.1.2. The attitude of not desiring kama, artha, dharma, or moksha, and only desiring service to the Supreme Lord. This is that degree of seriousness is found in them. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just keep this. वह्नः सुराणामसिसान्वयानां कूटस्थ आद्य पुरुषः पुराण त्वं देव शक्त्यां गुणकर्मयोनौ रेतस्त्वजायां कविमादधे जः. You are the original personal founder of all the demigods and the orders of different gradations. Yet you are the oldest and are unchanged. O Lord, you have no source or superior. You have impregnated the external energy with the semen of the total living entity. Yet you are unborn. अवश्यं च त्वया अस्माकं येषां च कार्य उपाधीनां जीवानां वृत्तिः परिकल्पनीया जनकत्वात् इत्याहो. And certainly we know, because you are the father of all of us, you are going to make arrangements uh, for us and for all these jivas who will receive their material designations as an effect of creation. That is stated in this current verse. Naha asmakam सान्वयानां सकार्याणां यद्वा अन्वेति इति अन्वयः कारणं तत्सहितानां त्वम् एव आद्यः कारणम्. You are the original cause. You are the oldest. Pranah. The oldest who has no other founder. Okay. Karanam तत्सहितानां त्वमेव आद्यः कारणं तत्र हेतवः. And the reasons for saying that, कूटस्थः अविक्रियः. You are the one who is unchanged. Purushah adhisthata. You are the founder person. You are the superintendent. Purana, Puratanaha. You are the oldest. Etat upapadayanti. And this is uh, further established in the second half of the verse. Tvameti. Hey Deva. O Lord. Ajayavatvam गुणानां सत्त्वादीनां कर्मणां जन्म आदीनां च योनौ कारणभूतायां शक्त्यां मायायां प्रथमं रेत आदधे निहितवान् असि इति अर्थः. कीदृशं कविं सर्वज्ञं महतत्वरूपं कविं समष्टिजीवं. This mahatattva is said to be complete knowledge because it is filled with all the living entities who are capable of cognizing. Sevya sevaka lakshanam sambandham upapadayanti. Now the relationship characterized by the distinction between the object of service and the performer of service, it's now brought out in the current verse. Naha asmakam sanvayanam anveti iti anvayah karanam tadsaitanam kutasto nirvikara eva adyah chintamanireva karanam. You're the cause like a touchstone. Purusha adhishtata purana puratanaha adishunya iti artha. The original founder who has no other founder. Yataha tvam he deva shaktiyam yamaya. What is yamaya? What is this? 49. Maya. Yavan. गुणानां सत्त्वादीनां कर्म महदाधिकं यत्र तत्र भूतायां योनौ प्रेतः समष्टिजीवरूपं विद्यम् अतः अस्माकं जीवानां च पितृत्वात् त्वमेव सेवयति भाव. The Lord, the original person, is the father of all other living entities, beginning from Brahma, the personality from whom all other living entities in different gradations of species are generated. Yet the Supreme Father has no other father. Every one of the living entities of all grades, up to Brahma, the original creature of the universe, is begotten by a father, but he, the Lord, has no father. When he descends to the material plane out of his causeless mercy, he accepts one of his great devotees as his father to keep pace with the rules of the material world. But since he is the Lord, he is always independent in choosing who will become his father. For example, the Lord came out of a pillar in his incarnation as Nrsimhadev, and by the Lord's causeless mercy, Ahalya came out of a stone by the touch of the lotus feet of his incarnation as Lord Sri Rama. As a super soul, he is also the companion of every living entity, but he remains unchanged. The living entity changes his body in the material world, but even when the Lord is in the material world, he is ever unchanged. That is his prerogative. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14.3, the Lord impregnates the external or material energy, and thus the total living entities later come out in different gradations, beginning from Brahma, the first demigod, down to the insignificant ant. All gradations of living entities are manifested by Brahma and the external energy, but the Lord is the original father of everyone. Therefore, the relationship of every living being with the Supreme Lord is certainly one of son and father, and not one of equality. Sometimes, out of love, the son will become more than the father, but the basic relationship of father and son is one of superior and subordinate. Every living entity, however great he may be, even up to the demigods like Brahma and Indra, is an eternally subordinate servitor of the Supreme Father. The Mahatattva principle is the generating source of all the modes of material nature. And the living entities take birth in the material world in bodies supplied by the mother, material nature, in terms of their previous work. The body is the gift of material nature, but the soul is originally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Okay, 51. ततो वयं मत प्रमुखा यदर्थे बभूविमात्मन् करवाम किन्ते त्वं न स्वचक्षुः परिदेहि शक्त्या देवक्रियार्थे यदनुग्रहाणाम्. O Supreme Self, please give us, who are created in the beginning from the Mahatattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind directions on how we shall kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. It is natural that one should be able to see the Lord at least within himself. Prabhupada is saying it's natural to see the Lord, but we see from the verse of Gita, it's very rare to see the Lord. Manusyanam Sahasreshu. If the Lord is inside oneself, one should naturally see him. But we know that it is very rare. Why is it rare? That is spelled out in the Gita a little bit, and it is more elaborately discussed here. Okay. Mat Pramukha, coming from the total cosmos, the Mahatattva. Tha, He Atman Deva. Why is it Sat Pramukha? Mat Pramukha. What is this? Sat Pramukha. 3.5.30. मत्प्रमुखा मदालय मत्प्रमुखा महदादेह वयम यदर्थम बभूविम. So this is first of all being spoken by the presiding deity of Mahatattva and so on. So what are we supposed to do? Srishtimiti chet tatrahu. If you were to say, oh, you're supposed to create, then they speak the second half of the words. Yasmat vatteva anugraha yesham te yad anugraha tesham asmakam. You are entirely dependent on your blessings, kindness, and grace. Vyarthe yan eva etavan anugraha yesham ekam padam ekam ekam va padam. त्वदीय ज्ञान क्रिया शक्तिभ्यामेव वयं सृष्टौ क्षमा. It is by knowledge, by the potency of knowledge and by the potency of activity bestowed by you upon us that we will become capable of engaging in this activity of creation, not otherwise. That is what they are conveying. Tataha iti tatra esham prithvi nyayena tattva adhishtatra devanam bhaktatvena स्वयमेव पुरा शरीर निर्माणम ईश्वरेण अन्येषां तु तत्प्रार्थना या एव भविष्यति इति ज्ञेयः. So from this verse, like Prithvi, the presiding deities of these primordial elements, because they were devotees in the past, the creation of their bodies was done by the Lord himself, because they were his devotees. For others, by their prayers, they get their bodies. Mat pramukha mahadadya vayam. Hey, Atman, किं ते कर्माण सृष्टिमिति चेत् तत्राहो तर्हि नः अस्माकं त्वं स्वचक्षु शक्त्या सह परिदेहि. वैराजनिर्माणे ज्ञानं देहि शक्तिं च देहि. Please give us eyesight. Literally, that's what they're asking. Give us your direction. Give us our eyes. Which means give us knowledge and give us the capacity to create this universe. The universes actually. त्वदीय ज्ञान क्रिया शक्तिभ्यामेव वयं सृष्टौ क्षमा नान्यथा इति भावः. हे देव, अस्माकं क्रियारूपे अर्थे यानेव अनुग्रहः त्वया कर्तुम् उचितः येषु तेषां त्वद् आदिष्टां सेवामेव सुखेन कर्वामः. Please bless us in such a manner that for this activity we will engage in services as directed by you, nicely, properly, in a happy manner, in such a manner that you will be happy. Etavadeva asmatum asmadvanchitum na anyaditi bhava. The implication is this is what we want. We don't want anything more than this. Atra tattva adhishtatra devanam bhaktatva swayameva sharinirmanam ishwarena अन्येषां तु तत्प्रार्थनाया एव इति सन्दर्भः. In this regard, the Sandarbha says that because these presiding deities of the elements are his devotees, they created the bodies by themselves. And the Supreme Lord is the one who creates others' bodies by their prayers. So it looks like by the Lord's arrangement, they created their own bodies, and then by the will of the Lord, they pray to the Supreme Lord to arrange for the bodies for everybody else to be created. The Lord creates this material world and impregnates the material energy with the living entities who will act in the material world. All these actions have a divine plan behind them. The plan is to give the conditioned souls who desire to enjoy sense gratification a chance to do so. But there's another plan behind the creation to help the living entities realize that they are created for the transcendental sense gratification of the Lord and not for their individual sense gratification. This is the constitutional position of the living entities. The Lord is one without a second, and he expands himself into many for his transcendental pleasure. All the expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas, the Jiva Tattvas, and the Shakti Tattvas, the personalities of God and the living entities and the different potent energies, are different offshoots from the same one Supreme Lord. The Jiva Tattvas are separated expansions of the Vishnu Tattvas, and although there are differences in potency between the Jiva Tattvas and Vishnu Tattvas, they're all meant for the transcendental sense gratification of the Supreme Lord. Some of the Jivas, however, wanted to lord it over material nature in imitation of the lordship of the personality of Godhead. Regarding when and why such propensities overcame the pure living entities, it can only be explained that the Jiva Tattvas have infinitesimal independence, and that due to misuse of this independence, some of the living entities have become implicated in the conditions of cosmic creation, and therefore called Nityabaddhas or eternally conditioned souls. The expansions of Vedic wisdom give the Nityabaddhas, the conditioned living entities, a chance to improve. And those who take advantage of such transcendental knowledge gradually regain their lost consciousness of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. The demigods are amongst the conditioned souls who have developed this pure consciousness of service to the Lord, but who at the same time continue to desire to lord it over the material energy. Such mixed consciousness put a conditioned soul in the position of managing the affairs of this creation. The demigods are entrusted leaders of the conditioned souls. As some of the old prisoners in government jails are entrusted with some responsible work of prison management, so the demigods are improved conditioned souls, acting as representatives of the Lord in the material creation. Such demigods are devotees of the Lord in the material world, and when they're completely free from all material desire to lord it over the material energy, they become pure devotees and have no desire but to serve the Lord. Therefore, any living entity who desires a position in the material world may desire so in the service of the Lord and may seek power and intelligence from the Lord, as exemplified by the demigods in this particular verse. One cannot do anything unless he is enlightened and empowered by the Lord. So this is the Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Mattasvata Jnana Bohanam Cha, all recollections, knowledge, etc., as well as all forgetfulness are engineered by the Lord, who is sitting within the heart of everyone. The intelligent man seeks the help of the Lord, and the Lord helps the sincere devotees engage in his multifarious services. The demigods are entrusted by the Lord with creating different species of living entities according to their past deeds. They are herein asking the favor of the Lord for the intelligence and power to carry out their task. Similarly, any conditioned soul may also engage in the service of the Lord under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, and thus gradually become free from the entanglement of material existence. The spiritual master is a manifested representative of the Lord, and anyone who puts himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and acts accordingly is said to be acting in terms of buddhi yoga, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.41. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha gurunandaram bahushaha hyantasya buddhiyo vyavasayinam. 6. Creation of the universal form. Text 1. Rishiruvacha. Ititta swashaktinam satinam asametya saha prasuptalokatantranam nishamya gatimishvaraha. This is not a complete sentence in Sanskrit. Rishi Maitreya said, the Lord thus heard about the suspension of the progressive creative functions of the universe due to the non-combination of his potencies such as the Mahat Tattva. षष्ठे तैः ईश्वर आविष्टैः सृष्टिमाह विराट्तनोः अधिदैवादिभेदं च तत्रैव भगवत्कृतम्. Then in the 6th chapter, Maitreya speaks about creation of the universal body after the presiding deities of the elements are empowered by the Supreme Lord, after the Lord enters into them, uses them, then creation of the universal body took place. The sage also talks about the distinctions in terms of Adhidaiva created by Bhagavan. Shaktinam Hadadinam Asamitya Militva Satinam Stanam. So when these elements, these presiding deities of these elements, were his own potencies, when they were not mixed up, when these elements were not mixed up and they were just standing there, Prasuttam Lokatantram Vishwa Rachanayasam, Yadva Prasuttal Jiva Upakaranaanam Gatim Sthitim Drishtva Avishat Iti Uttarena Vaya. So then the Supreme Lord, he noticed he heard Shamya. He heard that this entire universal construction was in a state of suspension. He saw the situation of these ingredients for the living entities who were in a state of sleep. So it will be noted that he then entered into these elements to get things done. Shashti Virada Bhut Tattva Antaryami Praveshatha Adibhutadi Vedascha Chubicha should be a chart here. Tasya Dehe Prapanchitaha. In the sixth chapter, there's an elaboration that the Virat of the universal form came about by these elements after their inner ruler, Antaryami, the super soul, had entered into them with a force. And then in that universal body, there were distinctions in terms of the Adhibhuta and so on. Swashakti Karyatvat Swashaktinam. Here, Mahatattva and so on are referred to as his potencies because they are effects of this potency. Asamitya Amilitva Satinam Sitanam Prasuttam Logatantram Vishwan Nirvana Kriya Yasam Tasam Gatim Drishva. So the Supreme Lord noticed that the activity of constructing the universe was in a state of suspension. There is nothing wanting in the creation of the Lord. All the potencies are there in a dormant state. But unless they are combined by the will of the Lord, nothing can progress. The suspended progressive work of creation can only be revived by the direction of the Lord. 2. Kalasangyam Tadadevim. No, this is not correct. It should be Kalasangyam Tadadevim. Viprachakti Murukrama Trayo Vimshati Tatwanam Ganam Yugabat Avishyat. The Supreme Powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements with the goddess Kali, his external energy, who alone amalgamates all the different elements. So there were 23 demigods here who were offering prayers. कालेन संज्ञा उद्भूतो यस्या कालयति क्षोभयति स्वकार्याणि दिवा कालसंज्ञा प्रकृतिस्तां शक्तिम्. Here Kala became activated, the potency. Kala itself refers to the one who activates and brings about various effects. This is a name of Prakriti. Prakriti saha pravesha trayovimshati tattvanam ityuktam. Antaryamitaya pravishan. So he entered along with this Kala Shakti. Kalayati sarvam melayati iti kala. Kalo pratyavishesha kala evam sangya yasya astam trayovimshati tattvanam iti. Mahantadinamev parasparam melana prakritestu sarva anugate. So then the creation took place when these elements got mixed together, and Prakriti also is alternating. She also enters in with the force. Kaleneva sangya mahat adya vidha yasya sa kala sangya prakritihi tam vibhrat sannavishat. So he entered along with goddess Kali. Prathamam samhanana karinya shaktya eva tataha varsha sahasrante antaryamittaya ityartha. So initially through this potency, and after 1,000 years as the antaryami he entered. Prakritya saha pravesha prayovimshati ityuktam mahadahankara pancha tanmatrani pancha mahabhuta ekadashi indri trayovimshati. 23 elements. That refers to Mahantatva, Ahankara, the 5 Tanmatras. So how much is this? This is 1, 2, 2 plus 5, 7. Pancha Mahabhutani, another 5. The gross elements, Ekadasha Indriyani. This is a typing mistake, Ekadasha Indriyani. And then you have the 11 senses. So thus it comes to 23. Does it add up? With Prakriti it is 23. Mahat 1, Ahankara 2, 2 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 5, 13. 13 plus, no, it looks like it's only Mahatatva, Ahankara. So that's 2. 2 plus 5, 7. 7 plus 5, 12. 12 plus 11, 23. यदुक्तं मूलप्रकृतिर अविकृतिर महदाद्या प्रकृति विकृतयः सप्त षोडशकस्तु विकारो न प्रकृतिं न विकृतिः पुरुषः तत्रष्ट्वा तद्देवानुप्राविशदिति श्रुते. There's a question here. Achuttanam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have two questions. First is, these material elements are combining because by will of the Lord. So when these material scientists, they theorize that there was something called Big Bang, and from a point of singularity, it all came and it's expanding. So it looks like there is some matching with Vedic version, but then they could not reach the final cause as someone living. So are there points of similarity? And if yes, then how come they are stuck with that to something dead as source of creation?
First of all, their concepts of cosmology, all of these things are speculative. They're not verifiable because they're not talking about events which can be controlled and replicated under controllable environments. So history, first of all, is not a verifiable body of knowledge. So now when they go back to the origin of the universe itself, that is the ultimate mega history. So how are we supposed to believe all the different speculations which go on changing also? They go on changing their opinions also. Whereas the version that we get is completely different. the full original spotless testimony of the Veda. If there appear to be matches, they're certainly coincidental.
Okay, Prabhu.
Omapati Gauranga Prabhu has asked a question. This energy is called Kali and is represented by the dark destructive goddess. This Kali causes the destruction of the universe. Yes. But what is Lord Shiva's role? He supervises her. He's the husband of Prakriti. That is his role. Okay, wait.
And Prabhu, may I ask a follow-up question on Somapati Prabhu's question?
Okay.
So Lord is Kala and then his energy is Kali, like this?
No, Kala is actually Lord Shiva.
Okay. Okay.
It all comes in Brahma Samhita. When the Lord glances, that glance is Lord Shiva. Yeah, at some point we'll have to go through Brahma Samhita also. One devotee was showing me that in Prabhupada's scheme of Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti-vaibhava, Bhakti-vedanta, Brahma Samhita was supposed to be there. Vedanta Sutra was supposed to be there also. So at some point we'll have to come up with all of this. We'll have to go through this. Then things will become more clear. 9 o'clock, let's stop now. So then 3.6.2 purport. That is next.
So tomorrow also you will take the class?
I think that, wait. I think for 3 days we have something happening. Today is 24th of June. See, 25th of June is holiday. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur disappearance. 26th of June is holiday. Gundicha Marjana. 27. Okay. 25th of June is Wednesday. 26th of June is Thursday. Gundicha Marjana. 27th of June is Friday. Rath Yatra. 28th of June is Saturday. There's supposed to be a class on Saturday. Okay. So we'll meet on Saturday. Okay. Vanshakalpatarvyasya kripasinduphyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo.